Okay. You're in for a wild ride. This is all out of a book, How to Create a Mind, and it's a series of books that you should read, but this is the latest one, How to Create a Mind. Ray Kurzweil is an inventor and futurist, and is the guy who's going to be responsible for artificial intelligence.
Well, I'm working on it.
I have to tell you, I both celebrate you and despise you at the same time. I am torn because I just don't know how it's going to end, and I suspect.
Well, as we said, technology is a double-edged sword, but it actually has been very beneficial. I mean, go back and read Thomas Hobbes or even Charles Dickens as to what life was like 200-300 years ago.
Right.
It was short, brutish, disaster-prone, disease-filled. Human life expectancy was 37 in 1800, 48 in 1900. There was no social safety nets at all. Before 1930, the Social Security was put in.
I know.
We were too poor to do anything. The world is much better off in terms of wealth, health, education. We had 50,000 college students in 1870. We have 12 million today.
Remember, I'm a guy who's starting an internet company, so I know it's a double-edged sword. Okay, so let's start here. What's LOR and PRTM?
Law of accelerating returns basically says that information technology, like computers, like communication devices, biology, genetic sequencing, information about the brain, progresses exponentially, not linearly. That's what it says. People go, well, what's the big deal with that? If I take 30 steps exponentially, 2, 4, 8, 16, I get to 1 billion. 30 steps linearly, I get to 30. Our intuition about the future is linear. And this is actually the primary difference between myself and my critics. So halfway through the Genome Project, 1% had been finished. So people said, oh, 7 years, 1%? It's going to take 700 years, like we said. That's linear thinking. That's our intuition. My reaction was, oh, gee, 1%, we're almost done. 1% is only 7 doublings from 100%.
It's the point of singularity.
And it kept doubling, and it was finished 7 years later. All of biology now is understood as basically software, and our ability to update that software and reprogram it is doubling every year. This is several billion times more powerful per constant dollar than the computer I used when I was a student. It's 100,000 times smaller in size. We'll do both of those things again in 25 years. So this again will be several billion times more powerful per dollar and the size of a blood cell. And that gives you some idea of what will be feasible. That's the radical nature of information technology.
Let's get this straight again. Size of a blood cell.
Yeah.
And several billion times more powerful. Is that all the
per dollar? Yeah.
Per dollar. So is that all of the human brains working together? More than that?
25 years from now, yes. I mean, that'll be much more powerful than the human brain. We have computers now that can do things that the human brain can't do, like play Jeopardy better than any human, for example.
You talked about in one of your books that you saw a point to where you would have computers that would have the computing power of all of the human brains, didn't you? Did you see that down the road, 2050?
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay, so what is PRTM?
That's the pattern recognition theory of mind. That's what this book articulates, basically describes how the neocortex works, and allows us actually, with that insight, to create artificial intelligence based on our understanding of the human brain. And it's not as complicated as you might think. One line of criticism is, oh, the human brain is as vastly complex, it's hundreds of trillions of connections, each one is exactly where it needs to be, and that's just not the case. That's like describing, well, what is a forest? Well, a forest has all these different branches, and each one is exactly where it needs to be. That's not how you understand a forest. You understand a forest that there are trees, and there can be different kinds of trees, and each tree has branches, and they're repeated in a certain pattern, and there's a lot of random variability, and understanding the concept of a forest is a lot easier than understanding even a single tree. Understanding how the neocortex, which is where we do our thinking, is easier than understanding a single neuron. And I describe how it works. And in summary, there's a module that recognizes a pattern. So some of them recognize, a crossbar and a capital A. And then at a higher level, one might go, capital A. That feeds up to a higher level that goes, the word apple. Go up another bunch of levels, and maybe there's a pattern recognizer that's getting input from different senses. It might say, there's a certain fabric, certain perfume, certain voice quality. That's my wife just entered the room. Go up another 20 levels, and there's a pattern recognizer that fires, she's pretty, that was funny, that was ironic. You probably think that those high-level recognizers are a lot more complicated and sophisticated than the simple ones that recognize the edge of an object or a crossbar and a capital A. They're actually the same basic concept. It's just the high-level ones exist at a high level in this hierarchy. These pattern recognizers are...
If I shuffled the deck, they're the same.
Right, although it wouldn't work if you shuffled the deck. The connections, this hierarchy, is critical to its functioning. Now, where does the hierarchy come from? We actually create that ourselves. The neocortex is capable of essentially connecting these, there's 300 million of them in the human brain, these pattern recognizers in this elaborate hierarchy. And we lay down one conceptual level at a time from the moment we're born, or even earlier than that. So we're, from the very first moment that our brain is working, it is laying down one conceptual level at a time. I have a 1-year-old grandson, and he's got several levels of abstraction under his belt. He's got a few more to go. And we have 300 million of them. One of the reasons that kids can learn, say, languages so easily is they have all this virgin neocortex. It's not used. By the time we're 20, we've used it all up. We actually can't learn anything new without letting go of old memories. I talk about that process in the book, and some people aren't very good at that, which is why they're rigid thinkers. We can learn new things, but we have to kind of reorganize older memories.
How do you reorganize older memories?
By being open-minded. Part of it is to let go of redundancy, because like the pattern recognizer recognizes a crossbar and a capital A. I don't have one of those. I probably have 1,000 of those. I don't need 1,000. I could probably do with 100. So as you actually master a skill, you can let go of some of the redundancy and apply it to new knowledge. That's one strategy. But the neocortex kind of does this automatically, but some are better than others, which is why some people are more open-minded than others, later in life.
Okay, so you're reverse engineering the brain. You're finding this pattern. And we're going to take a break, and then we come back, and you tell us what does it mean in machines next.
Singularity is a future period which technological change will be so rapid and its impact so profound that every aspect of human life will be irreversibly transformed.
There won't be a clear distinction between humans and machines.
Our computers are not going to be these rectangular devices we put in our pocket. They're going to be inside our bodies and brains, and we're going to be a hybrid of biological and non-biological intelligence. In about 40 years, the pace of change is going to be so astonishingly quick that you won't be able to follow it unless you enhance your own intelligence by merging with the intelligent technology we're creating. So that's such a profound transformation that we've borrowed this metaphor from physics and call that a singularity.